Welcome to the FreeTruth Show. Attempting to break through all the lies and deception of the mass media, which is owned and controlled by the very elite that have engineered this global financial takedown. The FreeTruth Show is dedicated to exposing the New World Order eugenicist depopulation agenda. Never before in the history of the world have the people been so awake. It's time for you to stand up too. Welcome to the FreeTruth Show.
We have another chap on the line now concerning chemtrails, and this is Canadian Spartacus. Now he's issued an appeal to chemtrail pilots to come forward with information either anonymously or otherwise. Are you with us, Canadian Spartacus?
Yes, I am. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the FreeTruth Show. It's Sylvain. Am I correct? Sylvain?
Yes, Sylvain Henry. That's right.
Can you give us for people who don't know, chemtrails are barium, strontium, aluminium oxide, megatons, polymers being sprayed all around the world by unmarked NATO jets and private corporations like Evergreen International. All you have to do is look up in the sky. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's real. It's changing the acidity and the alkalinity of soils. Bark is being ripped. You can just tear it off the trees. It's polluting the environment, hurting our respiratory systems. And in my view, it's depopulation. It's genocide. It's real. Get over it and do something about it. This man is... Can you give us a brief idea about your appeal? I did upload your video to YouTube. You can check out this man's YouTube channel, Canadian Spartacus. Can you give us a brief overview of the idea that you had for the appeal?
Okay. Essentially, how the idea got started was I used a Google Doc tool to create an online form, and using this form, I asked people questions about chemtrails, what they thought about it. I was surprised to see that in the first 2 weeks that I put the online form, almost 300 people filled out the form from 26 different countries. Now, I asked questions like, do you believe it's real? And most people said not only they believed it, but their family believed it. In some cases, their communities believed it. Then I asked the questions, well, why aren't the pilots saying anything about this? And I had various responses to that, and essentially it boiled down to the pilots were being warned, or they had non-disclosure agreements, or they were being threatened not to talk about it. And of course, they had their career, which they spent years and years practicing and training, and they didn't want to sacrifice that. So, anyways, then I asked the group, because most of them, about 99%, left me their email addresses, and they said I can contact them at any time. But they sent me some suggestion, and they said, well, maybe we can perhaps create in the words of one of my friends from Hamilton, it's a chemtrail confessional hotline.
Yeah.
And so I gave my phone number to. I made that video in Canadian Spartacus YouTube channel, and then I was surprised to see I had like almost 2,000 views in very little time. Just a minute. I have to move my cat here. Now, I didn't get any pilots come to me in about 3 or 4 weeks. However, I attracted other people to my attention, and people saying, I have evidence for this, and I have evidence for that. And so I started collecting this evidence, but they said, well, and as a confessional, please blot out my name from the forms that I'm going to scan and give to you. But these were soil analysis, there were rainwater analysis, and there were hair analysis. And I looked at these forms and all this information. I said, oh, my God, this is very, very serious. So I was collecting empirical evidence from scratch myself about people's opinions in 26 different countries, and people sending me forms of analysis that they were doing. So these are not just forms that I see on the Internet, and there are several on the Internet in Australia and the UK and so on. My cat is giving me a hard time. And then I said, well, we're not getting anywhere with the pilots. So then the people got back to me, and they said, one of them suggested, well, how about the mechanics of the planes? And we had this discussion about that. And now, we believe here in Canada we're being sprayed by foreign aircraft, okay? Now, we know that some airports are dedicated to equipment to supply the planes and this and that. But here in Canada, we don't see them landing anywhere. And however, all aircraft, every once in a while, sometimes they have these problems, and they have to land on, like in our case, Canada. Or
they have to change their engines. They have to change their engines much more frequently because the metals corrode the engines. I've seen Google Earth pictures of an airport in Arizona with streams of jet tankers with engines by their side regularly being. And you say that foreign Air Force jets are doing it in Canada. When Alan Watt rang the Canadian Air Force, they basically said, look, we can't really comment on this, but all we can tell you is that it's not us doing it. So you're absolutely right.
Right. So we want to know who's doing it. Now, I'm not giving up on the pilots. I believe that at some point somebody's going to have his conscience or her conscience will speak to them and say, well, maybe what we're doing is not right, because what we're spraying on the people. Have there been any toxicological studies done on this? Okay, why are we doing this, number one? Why is it necessary to keep on doing it over and over again? There's got to be a negative effect. And if you do look at the toxicity of these substances, you'll see that it's considerable. Now, why they're doing that, that's another issue. But we've been observing, my friends have used a telephoto lens with cameras, digital and regular cameras, to take close-up views of these planes.
Yeah, that's what I need.
And these planes are white. They have
no markings.
They have no markings on them, on their bellies or on their sides, and there's
Which
no
breaks all aviation laws. Which breaks all aviation laws. You have to have markings.
It's illegal. Airplanes have to have license plates where they're called tail numbers. They've got nothing. They're all white. So now, I think this comes down to an issue of democracy, I think. Last year, just before Canada Day, I got several hundred people in Canada to email the Prime Minister of Canada directly asking for explanations. Are you aware about this? Asking who's funding this? Why is this being done? We had like 6 major questions that we were asking. And as a matter of fact, the same thing was done. The same template letter, which was created by 20 of us together, was sent to the prime ministers of different countries. We got successful, not in Canada, but in Ireland, and Michelle Kenny and also Mags Murphy and some other people got responses from Ireland saying that, well, we're not, our Minister of the Environment, whatever it's called over there, he's called over there, or she's called, is not detecting these substances. But the question was asked after, aluminum and all these chemicals. And the good question asked after that was, well, are we testing for it? And the answer was no. If you're not testing for it, of course, you won't find it. So we hit a dead end in Ireland, but at least we got a response. And we also had a response in the United States from one of the senators And Delayag was responsible for that. And so we thought, look, they're not answering us. It's an issue of democracy. You know, we gave them our trust. We voted for them. We gave them the power, and they are not representing us. They're not answering our questions. Now, if something
quite a wake-up call, isn't it?
Pardon me?
Quite a wake-up call, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. It's when your government refuses to answer you, even to tell you that, no, it's a conspiracy, it's a total lie. You know, they don't even say that.
Right. I mean, can you imagine during World War II in the Blitz over London when the Luftwaffe are pounding the East End? No, it's not happening. It's not real. Sorry, we can't comment on that.
It's only after the fact that information like this is revealed to the people, usually when it's too late. In Canada right now, we have a commission in the Health Department, our Ministry of Health, to investigate the spraying in the province of Ontario, Agent Orange, which was used as a defoliant in the Vietnam War, over Ontario. As a matter of fact, even over forest engineers. Now, they've been doing this not for 1 year, but for like more than a decade, 1 or 2 decades. And they don't tell us this. And why are they doing this? And don't they care about the toxicological effects? I mean...
they care. They care very much. They have people on the ground, in covert kind of doctors dressing up in hospitals, monitoring the results coming in. They certainly do care about the results.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of people ask me why they are doing this. Okay, there are different possible reasons why they are doing it.
They say it's to combat global warming, which is a big scam. Anyway, right? Sorry, please continue.
Well, yeah, the argument around the global warming thing is that either you ask the companies to stop polluting, okay, or you introduced electric vehicles which don't pollute, and don't contribute to these the global warming masses, or you use geoengineering of this scale, and that costs only 1% of what it would normally cost if companies would have to change the way they operate. Now, that's the argument in favor of the companies would rather pollute us, than it's profits over people. Okay, so that's the argument over that. Some people say it's a scalar exotic weapon, okay, used to focus the effects of the HARP machine in certain areas, specific areas. There's different reasons why they might be doing this. But the bottom line is they shouldn't be doing it without our consent, our knowledge, and if it's dangerous, if it's toxic, we must know about this, and they could be held liable for damages to health and to the environment and to property damages, because this is affecting the pH, the alkalinity of the soils. But it seems the powers that be have a solution for that already, because Monsanto has developed some aluminum-resistant seeds that will grow in very, very poor soil with, unwelcoming alkalinity levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've worked out that there must be 10,000, and that's a conservative estimate, 10,000 aircraft at any given point in time spraying around the world. Let's say I noticed 2 or 3 working in tandem here. Let's say there's 2 or 3 more 200 miles away, and then another 200 miles. So that's 9 jets working in tandem over England, and then the rest of the world. You can double, triple, quadruple, sextuplet, whatever, around the world. And I sat down and I worked out the numbers. There must be 10,000 of these death dump machines in the air at any one point, any one time. So that's 10,000 pilots. They've been spraying us since 98 or 96 at least, and no one's got a conscience yet. If anyone's listening that knows someone that's doing this, or their husband is a cagey kind of pilot that does private corporate work or doesn't talk about it or something, or if indeed a chemtrail pilot is listening, you have an appeal, Sylvan. It's on YouTube, on your Canadian Spartacus channel. and they will hear it. The authorities listen to our show. We know that. So, what do you have to say to them?
Well, I have to
What
say
is
to them is this. Okay. Coming back to the terminology being used about what we're doing here, the CHEMTRAIL confessional hotline. Okay, it's my phone number. 613-600-LEAD, LEAD, and they can call that number. I will not ask their names. I will not ask any identifying information. They can call in such a way as to make sure that I don't see their phone numbers. All I want to know is I want to talk to them, and we will start a relationship. This relationship will be, look, first of all, we will look into whistleblower legislation where you live, in the country that you live. We'll look at it together. Because before, I want to protect myself, and I want to protect the sources of information. These people deserve our protection. Now, once we find out which country they're from, which city, and so on, then we see what kind of whistleblower protection is offered, and then this must be verified by them. And once they feel safe about revealing this information, then we carry this to other levels together. So basically, I'm not the kind of person who will just collect the facts and name names and so on. No, I don't want to have anybody in trouble. It doesn't have to be a pilot. I'm hoping the pilots will, but they have a lot more to lose than mechanics or support staff for these aircraft. Now, any of these people can contact us. Now, if I were Prime Minister of Canada, the first executive order I would make was that I would make it a requirement by law that all planes must be marked. The Minister of Transport does not tolerate unmarked vehicles with no license plates. It should be the same thing in the air as it is here on land, as it is in the sea. Okay? Just because they're flying in international space doesn't give them that advantage, because who knows which country they're coming from. That could be another issue as well. It could be, from a country that that we don't have good relationships with.
Well, it's the Open Skies Treaty. There's a civilian one and a military one. The Open Skies Treaty allows foreign air forces to fly over the foreign airspace, apparently for surveillance and intelligence gathering and sharing. But it also allows them to spray us. Spain spraying France, and France can be spraying Spain. So
also, there's a website called FlightAware.com.
Yeah.
And some people have been becoming more familiar with that tool, and it's a tool that anybody can use. For you just specify your airport, 3-letter listing and so on, and essentially you see if the flights that you are seeing are actually scheduled. Okay, because sometimes spraying planes or sky tankers do not show up on FlightAware at all. Okay, so they are unmarked.
There's also flightradar24.com. I sometimes notice commercial jets actually spraying us as well.
It's pretty sad that it's now quantities are in the megatons perhaps of what we're being sprayed with. Like different in the chemtrail truth action movement, different people have different functions. Some, like Dutch Sins, is more scientific, and my particular role, is to gain the confidence of those who would save us, essentially, by making it as easy, as safe, simple, for them to say the truth. Now, the second thing that we're trying to do, and I'm achieving some significant progress there, is to create a hyper network of chemtrail truth action truthers. A hyper network is a network of networks, and essentially what it is if you go on social networking sites, such as Facebook. There are several hundred chemtrail groups that people belong to. Some people belong to several. I do as well, too.
Yeah.
And each one maintains their own sovereignty as a group, and they have their different flavor. You know, some people collect photos, others collect, some sample analyses, and so on. And what I'm trying to do now is to connect the groups together so that we can act together on specific days for specific reasons, and see if we can focus, like a lens will focus the light into a single point, focus on a single point, like a city, a prime minister. Our attention, our efforts, positive and peaceful efforts, very, credible and evidence-based efforts. And so I'm hoping that this hyper network, which has started already, will grow, and and some of our allies are good. They live near Hollywood. They are movie producers, and like one of them has made this film. What in the world are they spraying? Michael Murphy.
Yeah, we've had him as a guest on here, actually. If you look on my FreeTruth show channel on YouTube, you can hear our interview with Michael J. Murphy. It was very good. It's an excellent documentary, What in the World Are They Spraying?
And I recommend anybody who hasn't seen it to look at it, because it gives you a general overview. And so those people they're different kinds of people, some who are curious about this, some who don't care anything about whatever happens, and some who have enough evidence, accumulate enough evidence that they want to proceed to the next step, which is a focused, concerted action. And that's where I am right now. And we deserve answers. The very least, our leaders should tell us it's true, it's not true. We want that on paper.
Well, John Fitzgerald, he was on We Are Change TV. He'll be with us next Thursday. He went to a geoengineering conference and confronted one of the geoengineers about what's happening. So next Thursday, tune in. There's a video on YouTube from We Are Change TV. And we also had Rosalind Peterson on from California Skywatch with all her very detailed sample analysis information. We also had Anthony J. Hilder on about what he calls death dumps, and he's coming over here. I'm organising a talk with him. Just a quick mention: I'm organising a chemtrail rally on the 9th of July, 2011. This year, 9th of July, in Duxford, near Duxford, Cambridgeshire. So please come along and support me, and if you can't make it, spread this video around. There's a video on YouTube, Chemtrail, 9th of July 2011 on YouTube. So it's a great chance at a public event of an air show to get information out to people, and it's a chance for people to... People are actually contacting me thinking, they're actually saying, my God, at last, we can actually get out and do something, So I encourage people to have a chemtrail rally in their own area, wherever they are in the world.
Of course, I will support you, and I will promote it. You said it's the 9th of July?
Yeah,
the 11th?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. And my group has about 1,300 members, focused entirely on chemtrails. I have different groups, but that is the most active one. And so I will make sure to pass the message to them.
Thank you very much. I mean, this is one of the main reasons I'm doing this show, because I mainly talk about chemtrails.
And talking about chemtrails, I took the bus, a city bus, and by some freak accident, the bus was full of Air Force officers in uniform. I said, oh my
Really?
God. Oh, yeah. And there were just a few other passengers, and...
where to start?
Yeah. I was trying to pick a seat, beside the closest, the friendliest officer. And I sat beside a lady officer. She had a few stripes on her, so I figured she knew something. I sat down beside her, and I said, excuse me, ma'am, do you know about chemtrails? Oh, my God, you wouldn't believe the response. I thought I was going to be attacked. she started screaming at me, "You conspiracy nuts, and this is absolutely not true," and so on. I said, "Ma'am, I've prepared a PowerPoint presentation. I'm willing to go to the Air Force Department and show all your senior officers, what I've discovered, what evidence I've discovered. You don't have any evidence. It's just a story fabricated. But yeah, fabricated for what reason, ma'am?" And then she got so upset with me that she left early. She left the bus early. The other officers, they looked at her as if to say, "Calm down. You're making a scene." Why was she reacting so violently to my question?
Because a slave was questioning them. That's why. A slave was questioning them.
Yeah.
We just have 10 seconds left, unfortunately, Sylvain. For the benefit of people who will be cut off by us, I do want to welcome you back. So I'll just say thanks very much. We're almost out of time. We'll see you again. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Free Truth Show. Good night, and thank you, Sylvain.
Thank you.
Green International. All you have to do is look up in the sky. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's real. It's changing the acidity and the alkalinity of soils. Bark is being ripped. You can just tear it off the trees. It's polluting the environment, hurting our respiratory systems. And in my view, it's depopulation. It's genocide. It's real. Get over it and do something about it. This man is... Can you give us a brief idea about your appeal? I did upload your video to YouTube. You can check out...
Welcome to the Free Truth Show.
We have another chap on the line now concerning chemtrails, and this is Canadian Spartacus. Now he's issued an appeal to chemtrail pilots to come forward with information either anonymously or otherwise.
The Free Truth Show is dedicated to exposing the New World Order eugenicist and depopulation agenda. Never before in the history of the world have the people been so awake. It's time for you to stand up too.
With us, Canadian Spartacus.
Yes, I am. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the Free Truth Show. It's Sylvain. Am I correct? Sylvain?
Yes, Sylvain Henry. That's right.
Can you give us for people who don't know, chemtrails are barium, strontium, aluminium oxide, megatons, polymers being sprayed all around the world by unmarked NATO jets and private corporations like Evergreen.
Welcome to the Free Truth Show. Attempting to break through all the lies and deception of the mass media, which is owned and controlled by the very elite that have engineered this global financial takedown.